Welcome back to another episode of Essence, our new sub-series on the Modern Woman Show, where we are having badass women who are saying yes to life and are leading their own lives come and talk to us about their essence. Jacqueline will start by giving an astro reading, and from there, we will discuss how our astrology plays a role in the way we show up in our lives.
Thanks, Bri. I'm so excited to be here today. As we talked about before, astrology is a very powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth, and it offers insights into who we really are. It helps us make wiser decisions for who we want to be, helps us with our self-care, and helps us figure out what our genuine desires are from what society is telling us we should do or want. And today we are thrilled to have Aly Jobson on as our special guest. So a little bit about Aly. Aly is a compassionate life coach and influential community leader who's based in Denver. With unwavering dedication, Aly empowers her clients to uncover their true, authentic selves through transformative one-on-one sessions. But her impact extends beyond individual sessions. She also organizes immersive retreats, creating empowering spaces where participants unlock their full potential, fostering personal growth and meaningful connections. Ooh. As the head of Beauty Boost Denver, Aly cultivates a nurturing environment for women to embrace their authenticity. Through this inclusive community, she fosters friendships, supports small business owners, and creates opportunities for women to be seen, heard, and celebrated. With her coaching expertise, immersive retreats, and dedication to fostering authentic connections, Aly paves the way for personal growth, empowerment, and a vibrant community in Denver.
What a dope human.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm so excited for her to be on the show. And I'm so excited to learn how much experience she has with astrology, if she's done any readings in the past, or if she's tapped into it in any way to deepen her understanding, or if she integrates it with her clients. I'm curious to just see how she shows up in her life.
Me too. I mean, she does so much for other people. And from my perspective, it's really intriguing to meet someone via their astrology chart before meeting them in real life. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any of this resonates and how it shows up in her life. That's my favorite part about all of this. So,
yeah, let's bring her on.
Cool.
What up? Welcome, Aly. We're so excited to have you here today. If you don't mind just starting us off by sharing a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Aly. I am a life coach, a community leader, and podcaster living in the Denver area. So I call myself an authenticity coach. So I really just want to help my clients find their truest form and then shine from there. As far as the community leader, I own the Beauty Boost Denver. So we're a community for women to feel empowered, healthy, and beautiful. And I do that through various events and experiences throughout the year, all central to Denver area. And then I also have a podcast called Awakening Authenticity. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. That is so cool. I did not know. I have to go check it out. Aly, it's amazing to meet you.
Thank you. It's amazing to meet both of you. I know Bri, but so nice to be here today. So thank you again.
Yes, of course. I'm excited for us to have a conversation about you. You help others. I love how you put that. And I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was beautiful, and you're helping people shine. And for me, the way Bri and I look at astrology, we look at it being, something that helps people in their growth. It helps uncover kind of who they truly are and who they came to be, and it's almost a map back to their true selves. So it's in our thoughts, it's not prescriptive. It's really a tool for self-discovery and growth. So that's what we will go through today for you.
And I love it. Anything to help me stay on that authentic path, I am all in. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Of course. And I'll share several things that I noticed from your chart, and feel free to share, anything that resonates or doesn't resonate. If it doesn't, totally cool. If it does, great. Would love to hear more. So with that, I'll dive in if that works.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Let's go. So for you, Aly, as I'm looking at your chart, so I have it in two places. If you see me looking down, it's also here. But when I think about the theme of your chart, it's really the overall theme that your life takes on. And so I'll just put it plainly. It's really telling me that you show up as the mystic, bearing the soul of the poet, wearing the mask of the student. Now we'll get into what each of those things mean here right now. Starting with your sun. So your sun is, I'll probably say a couple things that are like, what? But I'll explain. Your sun is in Pisces in the third house. And when I think of the sun, it's central. It's really your self-image, it's your being, your identity. This is really about building a clear, strong self-image and being able to focus on what you want and taking positive action toward things. When you think about the sun, it's obviously the center of our universe, but the solar system. And so this is the center of your being. It's a sign who describes, or it describes who you are, what things or experiences that you can create for yourself to help you feel more confident, and really just where you light up, where you shine. So I think of it like your ego. It's the center of your mind, just like the sun. It's in the third house, which is the house of communication. Now, this is about, very communicative. So this is about information gathering. This is about sharing, whether that's speaking, writing, being creative. Having success in this third house of communication, it really means being, clear, open-minded, having a openness on not only how you create and communicate things, but also how you view things and being okay with maybe not having all the answers. So kind of to put it all together, Pisces, then we think about the energy here. The Pisces energy is really creative. It's very intuitive. And so when I put these pieces together about your sun placement being in the third house in Pisces, it basically tells me that you might be a really intuitive communicator, might be imaginistic with how you communicate, how you view things, empathetic in how you understand and listen and communicate with others. Again, whether that's through talking or writing. You also might have a tendency to express yourself in a very creative and artistic way. Also could have a spiritual inclination. That's kind of when I said the mystic at the beginning, not supposed to be negative connotation. Really, that mystic piece is the Pisces piece that connects you to that personality trait of being creative, having the spiritual inclination, being able to adapt easily to various situations, because the energy of Pisces is, they call it's really like water, and water moves. And so it's, you're easy to adapt. You kind of can go with the flow, balance your dreaminess with this practicality that you have in the third house of communication. Because at some point we have to, words have to come out of our mouth, or creativity has to come out of us somehow. And that's where the practicality comes in. So I realized I just shared a lot, and I just kind of like threw it a lot at you. I'm going to pause for a second and just wanted to reflect and ask if any of that resonates with you. And if so, how?
Yeah. So I have done some research and some like things with astrology. So I'm like familiar. I know generally Pisces energy is very flowy. I feel like that was not the case until very recently in my life. Like I feel like I've only in the last year or so been able to really like release control and allow the universe to guide me, and get into more of that spiritual piece like you were talking about. I think before I was like type A, like very control oriented, like I'm my mother's daughter kind of thing. And so I feel like the more I am able to let go and be fully like in that water energy of being like flexible and easygoing, like the better my life is 100%. And then as far as the communication piece, I've never had anybody tell me that my Pisces sun is in the third house. So that was super helpful. And, I am on track to hopefully be a public speaker. And, I have the podcast. So, that's one avenue that I'm communicating through, and trying to use social media and being very vulnerable, showing myself crying, like being very authentic in the breakup that I went through at the beginning of the year and portraying that. And so absolutely resonate with that communication piece and think that that is very on point with where I'm headed. I love deep communication with people. Like Bri and I, when we met at the Coffee and Connection, that's one thing we were like, we just need 2 hours to just not have anything else to be able to talk to each other. And so, that's one big thing in my life is connecting and having that communication. So I feel like all of it so far is really resonating.
So interesting. And I was curious. I asked Bri, I was like, I wonder if she's been into astrology, knowing the Pisces sun. Definitely, of course, there's all kinds of advice and caveats to follow with this placement. And you've already mentioned several of the pieces that once you've started resonating with that, dove in even more. So with your podcast or, exploring spirituality in a different way, mindfulness, allowing yourself to dream and be imaginative while still finding time for grounding and making sure that you're balancing objectivity with subjectivity and kind of going back and forth with it. It's a dance.
Yes.
But I was also curious because when I think about your moon, which is kind of moving forward a little bit, it's also in Pisces.
I know. Yeah.
I love it. So your moon.
So emotional.
Hey, I'm a Pisces moon placement. Totally get it. I tell Bri all the time, why am I always crying? The moon in Pisces for you is actually in the 2nd house. So your Pisces extends beyond or in 2 houses, which I think is super interesting. And this is when I mentioned earlier, kind of the theme that your chart shares with me, is having the soul of the poet. When I think of poet, I think of artist or creator. The moon really shares more about your feelings, your moods, your soul, what you're afraid of. And it really shows us how to feel and express ourselves and become more sensitive and understanding in a way that is for us. And so really the questions that we ask ourselves with the moon are like, what experiences make me happy? How do I act when I'm feeling moody or rational? What emotions really drive me? And so for you in the 2nd house, that's the house of resources or material possessions, also values. Some people call it the house of money.
Maybe hopefully that's a good thing. I'm like intrigued, but also like, oh, maybe that's not good. I don't know.
I'm intrigued. So I'm curious about a couple things. Really having your moon in Pisces here, it could find, might show up this way, emotional security and self-worth through solid values, material possessions, potentially finances. People could feel secure in a lot of different ways. Finances is one of those ways. But also having Pisces here, it could also be, that your intuitive and imaginative approach might influence decisions you make when going after material possessions, whether it's financial decisions or keeping things that have sentimental value or buying things for sentimental reasons. And it also offers like an emotional that, you sharing emotional support and being empathetic, whether it's in career or creativity or with all the ventures that you're doing, it could also creatively generate income for you or support, like a stream.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're doing that as a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm also like working on getting into the retreat space. And I think, I've done astrology, human design, gene keys, and all the things. And all those things are pointing me to being out in nature and being a leader and being authentic and, helping others. Like my story is very important, apparently, for my gene key. It's not for me saying it, but I also agree that my story is important and should be heard. But that is saying like all the things pointing towards, planning immersive international retreats where we can really deep dive, connect with ourselves. I really want to do a lot of inner child work and just be silly and play. And really, like, that's one thing you were saying earlier about the Pisces moon of like how we connect to ourselves. And I think for me, one big thing is being silly and having fun and playing. So that really translates to like what I'm hoping to do in the future, working on doing in the future. Absolutely.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think that with the Pisces placement too, being, I think with Pisces overall, it's water. So it's easily can go with the flow, meaning can also run into dreaminess or I don't know, like escapism. It can go off to la
Mhm.
la land. I don't know about you, but I constantly find myself in daydream world.
Yep.
Okay, you get it.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
for you, it's really about, trusting that brilliant intuition that you have. Like you mentioned earlier, that deep ability to connect with people is a gift.
Mhm.
And you're integrating these, practical sides of you, these other considerations, material, either whether it's materialistically or realistically, so that you can remain stable in your values, who you are, how you're planning your future, whatever that looks like. Not always the most fun thing. And it's really, I think, interesting to tie together this like
Yeah.
dreamy artistic energy with like material possessions, right? But
Mhm.
seems like it's amounting to something really cool for you.
Yeah. So I think, I'll share something that I've been working through this year that I recently reframed that I think will just like help you to understand me better, but also just to share and be vulnerable. So I went through a really bad breakup. Well, bad, I wouldn't say, but like life-changing breakup at the beginning of the year. So I was engaged, dating someone for 4 years. They decided they couldn't marry me New Year's Day after being engaged for like a month or so. And previous like to that relationship, I'd always told myself that I wasn't really a career woman. I wasn't going to be successful. I wasn't smart. All these different narratives. And I was looking for financial security in my partner because I do find a lot of stability and safety in knowing that, not that I can go off and fly first class to Mexico every day, but like that I have my necessities covered, that I don't have to really worry about, am I going to be able to pay my bills? And so with these narratives of me saying I'm not successful, like looking to someone else to fulfill that need, when my fiance left me, I was kind of like, oh shit, like I was just getting into being an entrepreneur. She made over 6 figures. It was very much like my career was sort of a passion project, like not that it wasn't important, but it wasn't detrimental to our financial security. I was kind of like, wow, am I going to be able to stay in Denver? Am I going to be able to make it? Rent prices are expensive. And I found myself this year struggling to make money because I've been in this mindset of my worthiness is tied to my financial success. So I'm only worthy when I'm making money. And so this year has been up and down. There's been months where I haven't made a lot of income. And so I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm not worthy to be in these rooms, to be on these podcasts with these amazing women, to be nurtured, to be mentored, all these different things. And I had a coaching call with one of my dear friends, and she helped me reframe that instead of like basing my worthiness on financial, it's all about energy. And so like my whole life has totally shifted because instead of saying, am I going to make money today? It's like all about my energetic bank account. Is what I'm doing every day in my life, like, am I going to coffee with someone that's going to put a deposit in my energetic bank account, or are they going to take out of it? Right. And so reframing from money to energy has just been so amazing for me. And it's really changed my whole view on worthiness and ability to now, I feel like, fully merge those dreamy and logic, or like the dreamy world with like the material possessions, because now it's like, oh, is that possession like really helping my energy, or is it taking away from it? And so that's like kind of the hack that I've come up with to balance all this like flowy energy.
So
Wow.
good. Go ahead, Bri.
Yeah, I'm just like, thank you, first of all, for sharing that with
Mhm.
us. I have chills over here. I'm just like, I resonate so deeply with that. And I'm just mostly like inspired by your like self-awareness to even recognize that, and your devotion to leading your life. I think often sometimes we stop at that self-awareness. Sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like part of my security and safety and comfort is financial. So that's what we lead from. But what was beautiful was your articulation of how not only did you recognize that, but then you decided, like, is this how I want to live? Or like, is this serving me? Or how do I want to shift this for it to serve me and propel me forward in my life? And that's just, it's unbelievable. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for allowing me to share. And, you know, it's funny because I was in that mindset when I was with my ex of like, oh, I don't want to buy a house by myself. I want to wait for a partner. And now I'm like, I don't need to wait for anybody. Like I can do this all myself. And I love the fact that I'm in that mindset now. You know, it's really cool to see that. And it's like, yeah, I'm 35. It took me a little bit to figure it out, but like I'm here and I'm here for myself. And it's funny because I made it very clear to like ask the universe, you know, I would love to find a partner that's financially stable, but I, you know, have made it clear that I don't want to put out the energy that I can't take care of myself. And then I meet a 25-year-old pizza delivery guy. So, you know, there's the universe working out for me in some forms, I guess.
Amazing.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Aly, it's so funny.
Yeah.
And you said this yourself. You've been prioritizing, you know, contributing to your emotional well-being for your stability, which is, in my mind, one of the, like, I don't want to say hack, but it's like, I think the shortcut to a Pisces feeling grounded, the Pisces energy feeling grounded, is doing things that are emotionally supportive, you know, aside from your, you know, general grounding activities, which I think are emotionally supportive, because, you know, Pisces can easily get lost in other universes. Especially here, doing things that are supportive for you emotionally. So, you know, the self-talk, all the things you're doing, it sounds like, good train, right train.
Yeah. Thank you. I have recently, like this year, gotten obsessed with journaling. And so that's been like my biggest thing. I told my business coach, I was like, you know, I kind of feel like my journal's my best friend. And he's like, well, your journal is you. So it makes sense that you're talking to yourself. And I was like, well, that, like, I have a 200-page journal. I like this specific one that I get at Target, and I have like 2 new ones ready, queued up in case I write through this one. But I've written like 100 pages in a month. Like it's kind of obsessive, but also like such a good tool that, and it's never like I'm like, oh, I need to do work, but I'm journaling. You know, it's just one of those things that I do when I'm watching TV or in the mornings, just to like reconnect with myself. I think that's been my number one tool. And then breath work is another one as well. All stuff that's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Already.
Well, good. I'm so happy to hear that. I love that. The fact that we can do this, we can connect and have these conversations and share and allow other people to feel inspired by what I say. You know, that's even a new place to be. Like 3 years ago, if you would have asked me if I would ever be on a podcast, I'd be like, no, like I don't have anything you know, valuable to say. And now here I am, like, sign me up. I'm ready. Let's chat.
Yes, you are. So cool. Thank you for that reflection. And your journal is also inspiring to me. Bri keeps buying me journals and I keep writing through them. So I guess it's working out. It's working out.
Good. That's awesome.
I agree. Well, okay. So as we move through, you know, talked about your sun, moon, talked about a lot of Pisces energy. But you mentioned, excuse me, earlier in our conversation about how you didn't really, resonate with that until maybe the last year, which makes sense based on a lot of the things you said. And to me, that also makes a lot of sense, because now I'd love to talk about your rising sign, which is in Sagittarius.
Little fire in here. Yeah.
Little fire. And this is when I mentioned, you know, you wear the mask of the student. Wearing a mask in this scenario, to me, is really about how you show up in the world, how people see you. So you're this like Pisces ball with all this great energy. And then Sagittarius is how the world sees you. And so Sagittarius energy, like you mentioned, is fiery. It's very adventurous, very optimistic spirit, and keen, like observer, meaning like student, like truly wants to go and learn, whether it's by exploring or, you know, it's very philosophical in nature, learning different ideologies, just out there, and very generous in sharing their experience as well. So taking risks, having a love of learning, a love of life, being really friendly makes a lot of sense for how, you show up to others and probably how others mainly perceive you. Okay, wait, actually I'll pause, but I have more.
Yeah. Yeah,
Curious
no,
if that resonates.
absolutely. So much. I definitely feel very, like that all resonates with me. Yes. So you can keep going and then I'll chime in. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that was so interesting to me about your chart is that even though your rising sign is in Sagittarius, typically the rising sign takes up, most of your first house, and your first house is really about your identity, yourself. In addition to the sun, this is about who you are as a person. And your first house is mainly in Capricorn. Capricorn. Yeah. And this explains, I don't know if it explains, but it shows me that you have this super ambitious side of you, very disciplined, very go-getter, very, I'm going to go out and show them what I'm made of. And I'm going to see myself in the process. So success is my marker of I did it. And how I see myself is a person who is successful and ambitious and gets it done. What's also interesting to me is you have 4 planets in the first house in Capricorn. And that's not that common. There's 4 planets and they're all very different. So it's like all these different sides of you. And I'll just go over briefly what they are. But the first one is Saturn. And Saturn is usually associated with discipline, with like structure, responsibility. It can be, have a serious tone to it. So it's like, I'm going to get it done, people. The next planet there is Mars, which is the planet of action, energy, assertiveness. It gives you the energy to get up and go. It's very fiery, like you mentioned with the Sagittarius. So it's like Saturn, but I'm going to get it done. Let's go. And then also you have Uranus there, which is linked. Exactly. Yeah. Uranus is linked to like innovation or originality and wanting to be free, wanting to do things unconventionally and in a way that people haven't necessarily seen them before. Original. And then lastly, Neptune is there, which is associated with dreams, imagination. It's kind of like another Pisces type energy. Very creative, very compassionate. So see how these all of this energy is in the first house, which is your identity. It's associated with identity. So I'm just like curious how that shows up for you, like being, aware of these different things at play. I'm curious if you resonate with any of that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm about to pop off.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's gonna be really cool to meet her.
Yeah, well, I just invested like right before this call in a mastermind for 2024. So I'm super stoked. It's with Brittany Barcelos, Bri, if you know Brittany. Yeah.
Love her. So
super excited for that. And I think that's going to catapult me into like all of these things coming to complete fruition, as far as being, more, I think, one thing I struggle with, being an entrepreneur, being all this Pisces energy is like the flow with the structure, right? So it's like, I hear like all this discipline and all these things. And I'm like, well, where is it? Like, like, why isn't it showing up for me in the daily? But I think it's all a learning curve and process too. But yeah, I think that sounds like I'm a complex person based on my chart, which does resonate, makes a lot of sense. And I think with the Sagittarius energy too, I like to say that I feel like in general, like we're all ice cream flavors, right? And some people are vanilla and I mean that with love, like vanilla is good. It's very basic. Everybody likes vanilla, but there's not a lot of character there. Like for me, like I'm a pistachio ice cream with like a toffee almond crunch or something like that I'm not for everybody. But if you like it, like I'm pretty damn good, So that's just one thing that came up for me as far as like being perceived as a Sagittarius and having that fiery side. Sometimes I can come off a little bit fiery, and that's not for everybody, but yeah.
I love that. And you know what? Astrology really is, everybody has a blend of all of these energies. These are just the,
Mhm.
energies that are most prevalent for you. And there's so much more. And I'm sure you've
Mhm.
discovered that in your studies. All the things you mentioned, I'm like obsessed with. So these have come up in other ways for you, I'm sure. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, it's like the parts contain the whole, and
Mhm.
it's not, there's no one size fits all. And again, it's not prescriptive. And it's just, again, all leading us back to ourselves. It's just a path
Mhm.
to our shine. And so none of us are for everybody, honestly, or else we're not really ourselves.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you for going on that journey with me. I was curious. Well, Bri, first I wanted to ask if you had anything you wanted to ask more about.
No, I just was like, I was inspired by the depth of Capricorn and what you got going on there. I'm like, whoa, you are like so many different people in one
Mhm.
body, and it's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, from the outside, like I resonated with a lot of the rising perspective when I first met you. Like I was like, dang, this girl is like, she's got her hand in everything. She's super driven. She's super creative. She's super cool, but also has this like super laid back and chill energy. And so when I was like describing that to Jacqueline, she was like, uh-huh. And I was like, that's like, I don't know, it's just really, really cool to see that also show up in your chart of how like that first impression was when we first met, and then also just like the depth and like the connection like we talked about too, of how we both like deep conversation like right off the bat. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I feel like it was kind of cool how that showed through in the rising description of your chart.
Yeah. I really appreciate that reflection, and just the kind words and acknowledgement there. I think I'm still in this, it feels weird to receive, like hearing that all those like positive things about me. I'm like, oh, I come off like that. That's great to know. And someday I will be able to fully claim it. I think right now I'm like hesitant to be like, yeah. But no,
Sure.
I agree 100% that I think um I've been hearing lately, as of late, that like my energy does kind of reflect what we've been talking about when people meet me. So I do appreciate that. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I appreciate your like authenticity and your genuine response of it too, and owning
mhm.
that. I really respect that.
Yeah, yeah. I think somebody asked me the other day if like, do you take compliments well? And I was like, I'm working on it. Working on it.
Yeah.
Because I give them. I'm like very conscious when I connect with somebody. I think that's one thing. I try to find something genuine about the person that I really love and share it with them. Um, because I think it's also interesting to see how people take compliments, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's such a good reflection. And to be,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I do feel like this Pisces energy mixed with, how you're, I don't want to say battling, but it's almost sometimes I feel like at odds with all of these other fiery or discipline type energies. At least, that's how I experience it myself. It's constantly a dance.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I think the beauty of it is with, staying connected to your heart and all of it, and reaching for that no matter what, in all of your journaling and all of the work you're doing emotionally is beautiful. And at the end of the day, that is when I think about your moon being there and your sun, it's like that will help you feel alive. That will be what makes you shine. And that will
Mm-hmm.
be what helps you feel most stable in life, no matter what society tells you.
And thank you for that, because, this year, like I said, has been like a year of rebuilding, finding a new place to live, like finding a whole new, almost like a whole new life, it feels like. And I have been like really leaning into taking slower mornings and taking more time to work out and to cold plunge in sauna and meditate and, go on a couple of retreats. And, can I fully afford it? I don't know. But like, did I feel intuitively called to take the time to heal? Absolutely. And I feel like my health and well-being are always worth investing in, regardless of anything else. And so I think there's been times like where I've been in therapy and I'm like, my therapist is Carrie. She's amazing. She helped me with my dating app profile when I was on dating apps. I'm not on them now. But I love that I could ask her for support with Hinge. But anyway,
That's cool.
I said, Carrie, am I doing too much self-care? Like, is that possible? And she's like, well, yeah, if you're not doing things, if you're like going out to eat or like buying yourself a $20 smoothie bowl, like those are like superficial self-care things. They're not the deep work. You've been doing the breath work, you've been doing the journaling, you've been meditating, you've been doing the therapy, like you are doing the healing. And so, no, I don't think you can do too much healing. And so I was like, okay, but hearing it from you as well, like that it's in my chart almost, it's like, well, if I'm my own boss, but if my boss asks me like, why aren't you working? It's like, well, the stars told me to just take a minute,
That's exactly what I tell myself.
Mm-hmm.
I work, in corporate too. So yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Or not too. I work in corporate. So I have to be like, yes, stars told me, got to take care of my emotional well-being.
Yeah, hopefully the boss is good with that. Like, oh, Mercury's in retrograde today. I'm just going to take off early.
That's funny. Yeah, no, 100%. Those are the kinds of conversations I have with some people, especially Bri. Cool.
So I do have a question. Please. If you're open to answering it.
Of course.
So I have, as I'm exploring the dating world at 35, it's super fun. Don't recommend it.
You're so young.
Oh, well, thank you, because I don't feel like that some days, especially when I'm like seeing a 25-year-old and there's like this conversation about children and I'm like, there's just not enough time on either end. But anyway, I've heard that women, instead of dating, because I've always just done like Pisces and whatever sign compatibility until recently, somebody said that dating more for your rising sign, or sorry, your rising sign. So like more dating based on my Sagittarius personality might find more success as women get older. Do you find that to be true? Do you have any insight on that?
That's a great call out. I actually hadn't heard that before. So thank you for teaching me something.
You're welcome. I don't know if I actually taught you something or if it's just like a,
well, now
I've heard this thing. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Of course. When I think about partnership, I'm actually looking at your chart right now. When I think about partnership, I think about the 7th house, which is the house of partnership. Okay. And that includes marriage and is intended for dating. And I just look and see what's there to see what. Is
there anything in mine?
Well, I'm looking at the energy of it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like, I'm just like, fine. It sounds like it's empty.
There aren't any planets there, but that doesn't mean anything good or bad. It's neutral. Okay. The energy though is in Cancer, which is a healing energy.
Okay.
For the most part. There's also a little bit of Leo. So a little bit of fire, but the Cancer energy is, like I mentioned, healing, it's nurturing. It's almost like you approach your partnerships with this like nurturing vibe or energy, or like, not you're trying to heal people, but maybe there's like healing in the partnership that you get from being with that person. So what their sign should or shouldn't be, I don't know that from your chart, but it's like, if you're not getting healing, emotional vitality, or emotional connection from the partnership, it may be an extra challenge that you're not necessarily looking for at this time. But if you want the challenge, go for it. I've been there.
And I think that's really interesting because in my last 2 relationships, my ex-fiance was a little bit younger than me. And I think that the age thing has always been a challenge for me, like being older and feeling like, I don't know. I always wanted to be with my partner, like walking alongside each other, not feeling like I'm dragging somebody behind me or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I feel like for some reason I'm like attached or like a draw energy in of people that I can support and heal or like help heal in some form. But it's not like I'm intentionally trying to fix anybody. It's just like living through my experience, through the fact that I work out, that I go to therapy, that I do these things. My ex-fiance started to like jump on that train. And I do find that very important to me to like make sure that like like with this young guy that I'm seeing, I'm like upfront that I don't know if the value that we're providing each other is the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, full disclosure, went to a coffee shop the other day and he's like, well, what's the difference between a latte and this? And I was just like, nothing wrong with not knowing that. But I'm just like, the fact that those things are going to come up a lot in our relationship of like, I have to like explain these things that you just learned through experience that I've learned in the last 10 years that I'm older than him. You know, it's just like, I don't know if the value match is there. Right. And so I love hearing that, like, if I don't have these three things, like I might not feel fully fulfilled. And I don't know if I'm being healed in this current situation. Right. So it's interesting.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, well, you mentioned values, and of course, we talked about values is where your moon emotional happiness is located in, where values are located. And I'm also looking at your fourth house, which is the house of home and family.
Mm.
And so this can be your foundation where you came from. It can also be the foundation that you are creating yourself in what you call family now, or will call family. So if you're like looking for a long-term partner that you want to be your family, this could be relevant. It's split between the energy of Aries and Taurus. And a lot of like expansion there in terms of, so Jupiter's in there, which is the planet of expansion, of luck, of growth. And Taurus people are very, I don't know, that energy is very nature. So you mentioned nature being healing, which it totally is for any sign, but especially the Taurus energy. I don't know. Taurus is feeling good, but I'm not about to predict anything. Just saying. It's good energy.
Okay.
And that's where
Good to know.
your house of home and family, and the two planets there are in Taurus, which is also very stable, very secure, very, what you see is what you get. But at the same time, like stubborn, could be in a good way, could be in a not so good way. Depends.
Yeah, my best friend, that's a female I actually had a crush on her when we first met, but we're very platonic at this point. She is very much a Taurus, and we've joked about, if life doesn't go the way we planned, like she'll have a baby and I'll just live with her and we'll like, just live together and take care of it together and just not to be together. But I very much resonate with all the things you're saying regarding Taurus. I'm like, oh, that's Christine. So yeah.
Taurus could be good. Taurus could be good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I've also heard they're particular, like they like nice things. Is that also true about Taurus? Yeah.
Yes. they're
nothing wrong with that.
Very worldly, materialistic, different degrees obviously depend on who they are and how they're raised. But yeah.
Gotcha. Lots of leather bound books in their apartment.
Could be. Yeah.
I could see that energy resonating with you too, from the placement of your Pisces too in the second house, of like that feeling like secure for you, and you like like admiring and being inspired by that energy.
Yeah. And like I shared before, that like the last two relationships I've been in, I feel like I've been kind of like leading the person. And even with this young guy that I'm seeing right now, and it's like, I want a partner that like inspires me, that that is sometimes like dragging me behind them, not always, but like I want to be challenged, I want to be held accountable, I want to be expanded. And I've been in partnerships where my ex-fiance said, but when she left, like I feel like I'm holding you back, and so I want to be with somebody that allows me to expand, and for me to attract that energy, to allow myself that chance as well, because I think there's something that I'm putting out in the universe right now that's like attracting people that aren't quite, from what my roommate put it yesterday, on my level.
Second house of value.
So I'm yes. Yeah. I'm keeping all these signs in my head of like, okay, Taurus, all these other things. And I have notes. My autopilot like records all this for me, so I can go back and reflect, but it's also been so helpful. And I feel like there hasn't been anything you've said that I haven't resonated with at all.
I'm glad I could be supportive, and appreciate all your reflection and your openness with us. It's not easy to do.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's really funny that you say that too, because I was at some workshop and they were saying how when you're sharing, you want to be at like a yellow light on a stoplight. So it's not like red where you feel uncomfortable, you're pushing boundaries, but it's not like easy for you. And I think I'm in the camp of like I overshare sometimes, and I'm learning how to not do that. But I'm sitting here like, oh, like everything in my life is always a green light. Like I don't feel it's like very easy for me. And I share that because I also sometimes forget that it's difficult for people to do this. And so I have to remind myself that like, oh, this is not normal, even though it feels very normal and easy for me, that it's not the same for everybody. So I appreciate the acknowledgement. And I think I'm learning how to be vulnerable and open and connect and not share too much. So I hope that I didn't overshare, because that's, like I said, something I'm working on.
No, and I was going to say, I think it's a gift. Like, I think your ability to feel like this is normal for you is a gift, because it's not something that everyone has. It is very inspiring to witness someone who is so secure in sharing so vulnerably. So also thank you. Like that's really a true gift, and it really translates. I mean, I feel really inspired just hearing you share, and I didn't know a lot of the things that you shared today, and I'm very grateful. And I think that impact is going to translate to our listeners too.
Yeah, I'm going to cry.
Oh, cry the chills.
Yeah, like
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to piggyback off Bri. A 7-10 year ago version of me would have just eaten up this episode listening to you talk. I mean, even now I'm inspired, but I'm just saying, like, I would have been like, what is this magic that she's talking about? Who is this person? I want to be, I want to be that. So sorry.
No, I really, no, I appreciate the reflection. And again, like I'm still in the season of like learning to receive it all. So that's where the tears come from, of like, holy shit, like these women see me and I'm allowing them to see me. It's kind of like a mind blowing part of my life that I'm able to like be in this situation and have these amazing women tell me all this insight about my life, and then give me words of acknowledgement. Like, what is this life I'm living? And I'm just, so grateful and so appreciative of the growth that I've seen, and the fact that women like you both are have a hand in that. So thank you.
Thank you. Like, and I know people are going to be so inspired listening to this episode and are going to want to learn more. Can you share a little bit about where people can find you?
Yeah. So I typically hang out on Instagram. I have a couple of accounts. So I have one with my coaching business. It's called Authentic Aly, or just Authentic Aly Coaching. So Aly is spelled ALY. And then for the community that I run, if you're local to Denver, you can follow me on the Beauty Boost, BOOST _Denver. If you're not local to Denver, we are in 28 cities and counting. So you can go to thebeautyboost.net and find a city near you. Or you can reach out to me via Instagram and I can get you connected to a Beauty Boost near you. And if you don't have a Beauty Boost near you and you want to start one, we're looking for new city owners to take on owning their own city so we can grow this amazing community that we're developing. Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. So cool.
So cool.
Oh, and then also, sorry, side note, I do have a podcast as well. It's something that I've been working on being more consistent with this year, again, with the worthiness piece that's coming into play. But it is the Awakening Authenticity podcast. And you can find that on all platforms that you listen to podcasts on.
Cannot wait to tune in.
Yay.
Before we go to, I do want to ask one final question. If for someone who is working on cultivating their own essence, what's one piece of advice that you would give?
I think sometimes these pieces of advice come off really cliche, but they're cliche for a reason. And I think it's really just tuning into what you want, quieting the noise from society, from a partner, from your parents, from the stories you've been telling yourself, and really ask yourself like what it is truly that you want. And I feel like a simple navigation piece in life, figuring out what you want, is like a yes or no compass. So if you think of every decision that you have to make, do I want to work out today? It's like yes or no compass guiding you through. And if you can really just like dumb it down to like, do I want to do this or not? And really like be authentic in that decision, I think that will take you really far.
Amazing. Thank you.
We're both looking at each other like so stunned. Like, okay, that was perfect.
Wisdom.
What? So wise.
And I'm sitting here like, is it gonna land? Is it gonna land? I don't know.
100% landed. Don't you worry.
Landed.
Yay.
Landed. We're like speechless.
Confirmation heard.
Yes. Landed. This was the best. Like, thank you so much. What an amazing day. I am so grateful to just be in your presence, your energy, and your wisdom. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you both for taking the time to have me on the show and to just chat with me and get to know me better, and for providing all of this insight and everything. These are the conversations that I like live for. It's my bread and butter. So I just so appreciate you both, and thank you for what you're doing. I think it's so amazing to provide these platforms and spaces for women to be able to be seen and heard. And so just want to acknowledge both of you for all of the effort and energy and time that you put into this podcast as well.
Thank you, Aly. Yeah. So Aly.
Amazing.
Like, oh my goodness.
What a queen. But like, I just loved her vulnerability. Like, I also loved that her, like, just her transparency and just where she was at in her own journey.
Yeah. She's definitely walking the talk.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive to me. And everything that she said to me is like, I was just putting pieces together the whole time. So every time she mentioned something about her life, I was thinking about her chart and how those pieces connected. And, you know, whether or not she said those things resonated with her, I was still putting together the pieces. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, the journey that she's on is so, she's just right where she should be. I mean, we all are, but she's following herself, really. And that's what I mean by she's walking the talk. I mean, she's doing the things that she, you know, appears to do as a coach, as a retreat leader. I mean, she just sounds like she's really done some reinvention over the last year.
Yeah. It's empowering for sure. For sure. And I'm excited to publish this episode, and I'm really excited. She's amazing. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We would love if you'd be so kind to rate the Modern Woman Show, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. And remember, always let your essence shine.